Well, I'm going to talk about a variety of things this morning out of God's Word. We're going to fit it all together so that there's something for hopefully all of us, okay? I mean, because we're going to talk a little bit about our idea of, falling in love and marital love and building a life and I don't know what we look like and how we should take care of ourselves and our inner beauty and how we choose a spouse, and that's a long list. I won't exhaust it all, but there's some things here, and I don't want you to think because you're here and you're not married, it's like, oh, why did I come today? Nothing will have to do with me. Oh, that's just not true. That is just not true. And I know that in a crowd like this, when we think about those kind of things, some of us live with some personal disappointment in ourselves, maybe our spouse, or disappointment of relationships of the past, whatever it is. And I get it, we're people. We're called to love people that, aren't perfect, right? And He's calling us to love them perfectly, and we ourselves are not perfect. So I want to walk through a few things. I want us to, just a little bit, some of this, we're going to get into the mindset of a Jewish person and Judaism and how they looked at things, and even bring up something a little later from the Torah when it talks about marriage and love. And how many of you know things change over time? I might tell you a story or two just from my own personal life with Sue. Guard the doors, keep her in the room. No, I'm kidding. Yeah. I want us to go back to Genesis 24. This is quite an interesting thing. In Genesis 24, it's about Isaac and Rebekah. And chapter 24, verse 67 is where we're going to start here. Now, I want you to keep in mind, when we look at the scripture, for all intents and purposes, Isaac is really the firstborn Hebrew, okay? And so, as we look at this, they just, I'll just say this. When growing up, love my mom and dad, still do. But there was no way that I was going to trust them to pick out my woman. This whole arranged marriage idea thing, My dad obligated me once into a date. I'm not going there. I'd have rather stayed home and done dishes for my mother. Nothing against her, just, okay. Anyhow, so this whole arranged marriage thing, but now as a parent, maybe not a bad idea. Sue started arranging their marriages when they were small children. She started arranging them because she would pray for their spouse. She started arranging their marriage, that which she couldn't see, but God heard about it. And not that I didn't. I just didn't pray as often about it as she prayed for their spouse. I focused more on trying to prepare our children for what they were going to step into that they had no idea about. Right? Life. Every facet of life. Not that Sue didn't focus on that. She certainly did. I'm just saying, my part was passion and direction was a little different. So in Genesis 24, it says something interesting here about Isaac, verse 67. Then Isaac brought her into the tent of Sarah, his mother, and took Rebekah, okay, and she became his wife, and he loved her. So Isaac was comforted after his mother's death. I don't want to make too much of this, but what I want you to grasp is this. That he took Rebekah, his wife. They consummated things. She became his wife. And it says this. And then he loved her. Very different than the way we do things here in our part of the world and in this time. We do something a little bit more like Jacob did. If we look at Genesis 29, we look at Jacob, and you can read about this all, in these few chapters, but I just want to highlight a couple of things here about Jacob in chapter 29, verse 18. Jacob loved Rachel. Ooh, she's not his wife yet. But he loved her. Isaac was different. Woman becomes his wife, and it says he loved her. You see, our concept of love in our mind gets a little twisted around when it comes to our expectations, our hope, the way we date, the way we do things. It's a little closer to Jacob. Jacob saw Rachel. He loved her. He wanted her. I don't want to be inappropriate or anything, but, he had the hots. You can laugh. You've had them. Shortness of breath and heart pounding, and you want everything to be right, and you want to impress, and you just want that person. You're fixated on it. He got so fixated on it that he was willing to work 7 years for her. What does that tell you about our concept of love and being swept away? Now, I'm not suggesting that we shouldn't have some of those feelings. I think it's it's right, and the Bible talks about it in different contexts, and I'm not going to dive into all that and get sidetracked. But I want you to look at this. Isaac took Rebekah. She became his wife, and he loved her. See, that was the appropriate mindset in the ancient Jewish understanding. Jacob did something different. He wasn't sending out, spies and dad to pick out a wife. He went out and saw a woman, and he loved her, and he wanted her, and he was driven, and Rachel became his wife. Of course, we know he had to work an additional 7 years, because what he brought home after 7 years was Rachel's older sister, Leah. And he didn't know it. Because, they're all garmented up, hiding a multitude of sins. I'm kidding. Listen, and realizes, hey, he gave me the older sister. That was not our agreement. Well, tradition and custom is, oldest sister gets married first, then you go down the line. And so you had to work again for Rachel. He saw Rachel and she was beautiful. We got to be careful at how we perceive beauty when it comes to the very important things of our life. I'm going to tell you something very interesting happened with Jacob. He saw Rachel. He loved her. He wanted her. It says in verse 30 that he actually loved Rachel more than he loved Leah, his other wife, his first wife. If you read on through to Genesis 49, verse 31, it says that Rachel passed and she was buried. This is the woman he loved, gave himself to, favored her, thought he was just so in love with her, driven, full of that passion. He loved her more. It says that when she passed, she was buried in a lonely place in an unnamed tomb. And when Jacob died, he requested, I want to be buried next to Leah. What does it tell you about love, or what we call love, or our understanding of love? See, it's not just Hollywood, and it's not just physical beauty, and it's not just the law of this chemistry and attraction. I believe in those things. God, I believe, created those things. They are generated within us. They are supposed to be a help to us, not a hinder to us. But they are not the only thing. You see, in the Jewish mind, when you go back, they're told to, love God, just like we are. Love people, love strangers. And when you look, it does talk about loving a wife, but it's not mentioned nearly as often as these other things because it was intrinsically understood in their mind that that is what we do. And love is not built on something that comes and goes. You see, we look at love as more of an emotion thing and not a life, love, commitment thing. We talk a lot about agape love unconditionally. It's our expression of love to continue to love regardless of the condition, right? But we know that in a marital relationship, there are some differences compared to all other relationships. If you want to go back really in the Jewish mindset, I'm gonna really probably bother you with the truth of this and saying the true understanding is and you maybe heard me say it before, but the marriage contract, it was a legal document. It was like two businesses coming together and saying, I'm going to benefit you this way, and you're going to benefit me this way, and we're going to sign the dotted line, and we're going to stay in this contract. And you and I get wrapped up in, French poetry and the Willy Woohoos from Hollywood and wherever you spend your time on Instagram or wherever else that seeps in, and then you look at your life and say, well, I don't feel like I used to, and I don't feel like what they want or what they're telling me. You have to understand in the context of romance, if you look in history, it was always this love and passion two people felt that they never got together. Now, you can go back into the literatures and the plays and poetry. It was always this expression of Romeo and Juliet. Well, they never got together. And you can go on with other stories that you know and classics and all of that, and it was always this passion, this excitement. It's like when your spouse goes away for 2 weeks and you miss them and you're together and you see the benefit you bring to one another and you've been apart and then they come home. It's almost like you were dating again. It was like this love that can't totally be touched. It's in Christendom, when you honor purity and you fight your best and make it through to your wedding day, and it's just this anticipation. I love being with you. I want to be with you. I know I can't touch you and you can't touch me, and yet we get to say these things and do some things together, and you just look so beautiful. I just want to be with you every waking moment. And then you get married for 10 years. And you leave for work early. And you come home late. And things change. Where is love? Well, it has to do with your understanding of it, which, has to do with your expectations of it. And I'm not suggesting lower expectations. It's not the concept of heightening or lowering. It's the understanding. So the expectations are based upon fact and what love is. Listen, things change. You know, the thing with beauty, I'm going to read to you from Proverbs 31:30. You'll know this verse, most of you, and it might be phrased a little different in your translation, but listen to this. And charm is deceptive, and beauty is fleeting or in vain, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. Oh, we like that verse. You know who really likes that verse? Old women. We get to stand on that verse and say, well, I don't feel as pretty as I used to, and I don't feel as light as I used to, and now that I've gotten older, I just kind of say some things that normally I wouldn't have said. I've been more polite, and maybe I'm not as charmed, blah, 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 blah. And men go through the same thing. I want you to know, we have misunderstood the verse. In the sense of being charming, there's nothing wrong with it. In and of itself, it's not sinful. In and of itself, beauty isn't sinful or vain. And you think, that's not what the scripture says. Wait, let me share with you the translation in Jewish understanding. No, the focus is on you've got to be a woman who fears the Lord, who is godly, and that's to be praised, not this other stuff. The verse goes like this. Charm and beauty are good when it is couched in godliness. It's not an either or. We read it wrong. The translation, it calls us to jumble this up. It's about being charming and having beauty. There's nothing wrong with it. It does change over time. Well, beauty can. But when it's couched in godliness, the woman is the whole package. It's not, don't worry about being charming. Don't worry about trying to take care of yourself and look as beautiful, within the realm of reasonability for who you are and how you're created. You don't just, I'm just going to fear the Lord and I'll be praised. Here, if you're not grasping quite how these things are good when they're couched in godliness, if these things, charming and beautiful, are not couched in godliness, watch. Now they become vain because they serve no good purpose. You can meet a beautiful person, charming, and then you realize their morals in life, wrong, their language, their attitude, their outlook. All of a sudden, the charm has been wasted. The beauty, it's like it's in vain because it's not couched in godliness. And that's what the writer is saying. Listen, charm can be deceptive if it's not couched in the foundation of godliness. Beauty can be deceptive and misleading and vain, and it'll go away. Even though you look the same, the beauty in my eyes is gone because it's not couched in godliness. Listen, you're called to be not deceptive. Charming without godliness is deceptive. But you're called to be a warm and charming and likable person because you represent somebody. Our appearance, it does matter. It's not all that matters. And I'm going to look at some other scriptures. Get in your mind, you're going, wait a minute, Pastor. I'm not supposed to get my beauty from adorning. We'll get there. What I'm telling you is, the foundation must be couched in godliness. You look at Jacob, who went and found on his own, and he was swept away by beauty. It didn't turn out that great. Isaac, on the other hand, had the mindset and understanding of what love is. Jacob came around through a hard lesson because in his confession, I want to be married, or I want to be buried by Leah. She had godliness, and it wasn't about all the exterior. I want you to know things have changed. Things changed for Sue and I. I mean, when we were dating and that, I'll be honest with you, I felt like conversation was just so easy. It was. We'd get together, we could talk about church, we could talk about the Lord, we could laugh, we could go and do stuff, it was just, I felt like conversation was so easy. But I find out that now after almost 35 years at the end of November, well, not almost, it will be 35 at the end of November. We're almost at the end of November. Our topics of conversation have totally changed. And she's more talkative now than she was then. And that's not a bad thing. We've got a lot to talk about because now we live together and we've had 4 children together and we have a house together and we have vehicles together and I want to eat and we want our bills paid and we've got ministry to do and we've got work to do and you're dating. Are you kidding? I barely had 2 sticks to rub together in my apartment just to make a fire. So things have changed. We have changed. Conversation was easy. I'll just give you an example how that's changed. So it was just after the missions fair, which was a week ago. Sorry, I was really sick. I just couldn't be here. So I wanted to, the next day kind of catch up on, how to go. And so we started to talk about it, and she gave me a little report, and she added a few things that were good that I didn't ask. It was just like, tell me how it went, and this, that, and then we continued to talk, and she changed topics, and I didn't know. So I'm still listening, but I'm thinking the introduction of new characters had to do with the missions fair. And so I asked a question. And I'm sitting at the dining table, and she's working around the island and doing stuff and talking to me. And she's like, what? I said, well, you said, and I referenced it and the person and, the mission. She goes, I'm not talking about that anymore. I'm like, oh, I didn't notice a transition phrase that said, I'm going to change topics now, or, oh, and another thing unrelated, I didn't hear any of that. I'm still on topic 1, report of the missions food fair. So she moves me forward. Now, she didn't go over everything. She just said, this is what I'm talking about now. And so she's talking. I'm listening. Okay? My eyes are on her. And she's going on, and it's all good. I mean, my mind wanders a little bit. It's just because I'm not a girlfriend. It's just that I'm not a girlfriend. I'll never be a girlfriend. I'll be a friend, and I'm gonna listen. But I'm like, It just seems different to me from my perspective. And it's my flaw. It's nobody else. Maybe nobody else deals with this, but, as she's talking, I'm looking for points. Here's the point. This is the point. This is the point. She has points. It's not that she doesn't have points. She has points. But I'm looking for points. She's just sharing. And so when I interjected again, I thought, we're on topic 2. We're on topic 4. I'm just a little lost. Now I'm just listening and thinking, do not ask questions. Do not ask about this person, whatever it was. And then again, I'll hear something about the missions food fair. And I go, oh wait, that was back here. Hurry up. Hurry up. Okay. I nailed the missions food fair. Something about Pastor Isaac and a crock pot went to Holly. No, wait a second. It wasn't a crock pot. Was it a teapot? Oh, is our teapot missing? I'm gone now. Okay? I am. I'm gone. And the thing is, then she thinks my hearing is going. Are you having a hard time hearing me? I just don't want to dive into that. I want to say I don't think it's my hearing. It's just I'm having a hard time track and what's important. And I don't think it's just because I'm post-sick here. When we were dating, there was none of that. Life's changed. I want to tell you this, stuff changes. It's okay. Don't sweat it. We still have to communicate and look at our needs and the benefits we bring to one another to understand what love is. Because this isn't just about feeling good every day and just feeling totally wanted every day and just... This is about depending on one another. This is about being a benefit to one another. I want you to hear this loud and clear. You are married to serve a purpose, and you are married to be used, not abused, to be used. I signed up for this. I want to be your husband. And you're going to benefit because of me. Now, I got flaws. But some of your needs are going to be met. And I'm the benefit to that. Now, I know the world and expectations have changed, and she needs to have the same attitude. I am here so you can use me to benefit you. I'm here ready for you to use me. You see, don't be surprised if you're not treated like a queen, if you're not treating them like a king. And I'm not saying that if she doesn't treat you good, you have the right to not take care of her like a queen. I'm just telling you from the other side of the fence, our expectations, we have to look at what am I providing? See, what does Christ do with the bride? Right? He gives himself. And you use him. You need him. Without him, you will not benefit like you hope or dream. That's who he is. Conversation we did, it just seemed so easy. And dating and going and hanging out, it just seemed easy. It was different. Now hanging out, it's easy. But sometimes I feel like I'm a little bit of a boat anchor to her. Because I know she got a list. She wants to get stuff. She wants to, when we just do it and go and run around together, we call it dates sometimes because, it includes food. Not mini golf, not bowling, but we still eat. That didn't change. Listen, it goes like this. So after being sick, I was like, I want to get out a little bit, and I'm feeling okay, and I'm not infectious anymore. And I said, I'm a Hy-Vee fan because I've been in them before, and so we wanted to go over to the new Hy-Vee in Onalaska, La Crosse they call it, whatever. And so she's like, okay, great. She still has to do some groceries at another store because they have what she needs and it's a little less money. And so, Proverbs 31 over here, taking care of a home. And so I said, that's not going to be good for me to just kind of run around behind you. Drop me at Hy-Vee because they got like the buffet restaurant sitting, I don't know if you've been there, or Hy-Vee. You've got you can walk down, I don't know how many, 100 feet of food displays. You get what you want, you go down to the corner and pay, and you can sit in the cafeteria or you can sit over here in the Wahlburgers sitting area and whatever. And so I went and got food. She dropped me off. I went in and got food. She could do the other errands. And I went and sat down. And I will tell you, if you face the right direction, you have no idea that there's 20,000 people behind you going crazy. It's like you're sitting in a moderately nice restaurant. Pop open my food, brought my book, have my phone, do some messages, emails, send a message to the family. Look what I'm eating. Look where I'm at. Yum, yum, yum. She's going to finish her part. She's going to come into the store. She's going to get something to eat. And then we're going to walk around Hy-Vee together. I know that doesn't sound like much of a date. Granted, this would not have been a date 35 years ago. Some things have changed. And it doesn't mean that we still shouldn't do something or go to fine dining or whatever. If we get the energy, we'll go. Right? If we trip over a bag of energy, we'll go. So I'm in Hy-Vee. I actually, and this is not often, I actually felt relaxed. Whew. She comes in, hi, go get yourself some food, put your stuff here, I'll wait for you. Here's some money, go, whatever. Go pay, I want to pay for it. I want to do something right. She comes over, we talk, she eats, and then I decide, I want some more food. I've been sick. I need food. So I go get more food, I come back. Well, she's done now. I'm like, well, I won't eat all this. Just, can you give me a couple minutes? Okay, we'll take this home. And she had a little left, and she's like, okay, I don't really want to carry this around the store and stuff, like walking around like this, stuff you paid for. It's not nice. And so I said, yeah, I don't either. Maybe we should take it to the car. And she's like, well, I parked at the other end and out in the parking lot. And I said, oh, but I have no idea where you are out there in the parking lot. 35 years ago, I'd have been, hey, I'll go find that car. I'm gonna, now, I don't run. I'm not moving fast. I'd be walking around the parking lot with the takeout food, walking around, wandering, standing, going, well, it's on this half somewhere, this big parking lot. And then, because I know me, I'll see somebody. Hey, how you do? Yeah, check out the new. Now I'm in a conversation for 10 more minutes. Do you know where she's at? She's waiting for me back in the, this is not going to go well. So she went, because she knows where she parked. She can't tell me what aisle and what number and how far from the post and she's parked next to this car and this car, because she didn't pay attention to any of that. Why would she? Right? So she was like, I guess I'm going to get my steps in. And I just said, because I don't know where you parked. And can you take mine too? 35 years ago, this ain't working. Some of you are like, I don't know if it's working now. Well, so the things change. So I said, okay, I'll meet you on the other end so when you come in. So we meet, I grab a cart, and we're just going to walk around. We're not like doing major grocery shopping. There wasn't a lot on at least my mind to get. She may have had a little agenda hidden, but whatever, I don't care. She says no, but I say yes, but that's okay. We're not going to break up over it. And the first place she takes me? To the clothing dissection. Hy-Vee has clothing for children. So now we got to look at grandchildren items. That's not my idea of going to Hy-Vee. Show me the meat. You know? So we get done with that. We walk around. She tells me where some things are. And then we get to the candy aisle. Have you been to the candy aisle? So we go in the candy aisle, and we don't have a lot of candy around the house that I know of, a little bit. And it's cool because she's like, look these are the international candies. This was in Canada when I was a kid growing up. You can't get this anywhere else. And then, of course, there's the American stuff, and then there's this, and then there's gum. And I'm having a good time following this woman around Hy-Vee. Now, this would not have worked for me 35 years ago, but this cuteness still works for me. You bet this is cute. She birthed my 4 children. And she can still walk me around a store and do a little quirky thing and hold the gumball machine. Who had no idea that this would show up on a Sunday. I'm just telling you, honey, that's working for me. It's working for me. You're smiling, being a little funny. I was having a good time. Well, from the candy aisle, she said, did you see the bakery? I said, only from a distance, because I was down on the other end. She said, well, let's go this way. First, we get to the meat. Oh, it's so cool, the meat, and we're walking around. Now, I'm telling you all this for a reason. So, there's a lot of rabbit holes here, but you go there and they got a big piece of meat at the top. It says ready now. And the next one is ready in a week. They're aging it. Ready in 2 weeks. Ready in 3 weeks. I'm coming back. We're walking down the meat aisle, and I'm like, well, now I'm starting to engage with one of the butchers. I'm like, so this meat here, and do you cut it fresh for us? And I'm dialoguing, and Sue's working her way with the cart down the counter. Come, look at this. And she makes it sound exciting because I'm slowing her down. This would not be a good date 35 years ago. But she's like, oh, come here, look at this meat. Look at the sausages. Sausage! It's a dog whistle for me. I'm coming. Now, I'm not buying any of this stuff right now, but I got to the end of the meat counter and I said, Sue, listen. It's occurred to me that next spring we have to buy a bigger barbecue. I got to get all this meat on there. Then after the meat section, she's down a little ways, and then she's like, look at fresh fish. Keep walking, Randy. Come on. Get out of the people's way. You're steaming up the glass. So now it's like, come on, whatever works. Let's sound excited about something to keep him moving, because he'll talk to everybody over the counter. So I get down to the fresh fish, where I'm looking at the salmon, looking at the way they cut the salmon. They don't just cut it in fillets this way. They cut it the other way, steaks. Nobody around here really cuts it that way that I know of. Oh, that's made so, I don't want to, well, okay, I can't tell you. I'll get real distracted. So we get down, and then she sees some other fillets, small. I said, well, do you want some? That's never been frozen. Or it was froze once, now it's thawed. We have to cook it right. And she goes, no. I said, hey, we love it. What do you want? Let's get some. She's like, okay, well, I'll take that one. And then she moves down to the end of the counter with the shopping cart. And then I stand where I'm at because I'm still, wow, they have crawfish here. We're going to boil some next summer, Sue. We're going to come here and get, so I'm here. The guy, the butcher's there weighing stuff. She's at the end of the counter. Now, he says something to me as he weighs it. And I didn't quite hear him. I thought I did, but it sounded weird. And I just went, oh, yeah. Hey, that's great. She's down on the end of the counter by the cart, and she starts doing one of these. Now, he's between us on the other side, and she's going, you didn't hear me. And, of course, he's back there weighing stuff but watching us. He knows what's going on. I know he knows. And so I just smile and say, I'm going to scoot down here. And what? She goes, you didn't hear him. I said, I heard him. What'd he say? I said, what do you mean? What do you think he said? He said, this is just under a pound. Is it okay? And I start laughing. I said, yeah, I didn't hear him. She says to me, what'd you think he said? I thought he was telling me where he was originally from, and he said, I'm an Arizona rat. I wasn't even close. Arizona rat sounds nothing like, this is under a pound, is it okay? I thought he was telling me he's from Arizona. I'm going, hey, yeah, that's great. She's busting up. I get the fish. I tell him, hey, Arizona. He didn't know what I was talking about. I walk down, and now she sees we put it in the cart, and she sees the little shrimp. And because she knows I like fresh shrimp, and there was shrimp with a little dipping sauce, and she said, here, go, why don't you pick one of these? Just pick from the back. Okay, just pick one of these. Kind of like, let's not make this a thing. And so I get it, and we put it in the cart, and then we're at the bakery. I mean, it's like on a corner. And I'm like, oh, I don't really eat this kind of stuff very often anymore. It's not that I don't eat, I just, So I was like, oh. And then we come to these cute little bright blue, bright orange, whatever, and she's like, I'd like to get a cake for the grandchildren. I really would like to get a cake. Well, which one do you think is cute? She's like, that one that's a puppy. I said, that's a puppy? I thought it was a rabbit. I don't know. Finally, we're going back and forth. She finally says, just pick out whatever one you want. I just want to see the children's faces go, Grandma. I'm like, why do they get cake? I'm a grandma. Why do they get cake? So I pick one out, and she's down here, and now she's, we've been a while. Okay, keep coming. Look at it. There's these. There's cream puffs. Keep coming. I get to the cream puffs. I order a cream puff and a something else. Going to bring one for my mother. She gets down further. Look at Randy. There's pastries. Keep coming. Keep me moving. I get down there. Well, then I order a couple of Danish pastries or whatever, and they put them in the bag, and I'm talking to the girl who's decorating stuff back here, and this girl, she had pink hair, and, I was just, hey. So I got my two little bags now. And I turn around, and I go, oh, Sue, that was... All right, she's got to be in the region. Now, here I am. I'm holding these two little paper bags, not like this. I grabbed them from the counter, and I went. I'm walking around. I'm tempted to do what I do in some other stores. Oh, no. Who said, oh, no? Sue? Sue! I didn't. But now this is a big area. And I'm looking. She's gone. And so then I wander, and well, now the deli case has got my attention. So I'm walking past the deli, and I thought, I should phone her. So I get out my phone, and I say, hi, it's me, Randy. She goes, yeah? I said, so I'm walking, where are you? And she goes, and she tries to explain to me how to get from where I'm at to where she is. Now, this is the woman that I can't even know what conversation she's on. 1, 2, 7, So I just kind of keep wondering, I say, this is where I'm at. She goes, turn to your right. I went, okay, turn to my right. She goes, no, not that way. I'm like, okay. And then I went, wait a minute, she can see me. I'm like, and I see her, she's straight ahead down this way, and I go, oh, okay. And now, because we're near the end, I saved enough energy that I could hurry down there. Enough energy, because I didn't want her gone again. She's got the keys to the Jeep. Put them in, we went, whatever. We get to the checkout, personal scan, you scan it yourself and do all this and pay with my debit card, put the debit card in. Ask for my code, I put it in. And then it's swirling. And then it says, wait for cashier. I'm like, oh, come on. So I'm like, is the light going off? Is anyone coming? She's over here with the cart and the stuff in. She's like, let's go. And then she walks over. Famous 4 words. What did you do? I don't know. I just put my card in. She goes, did you push pay? I said, you just put the card in. I gave them my code already. What push pay? I've been to Walmart. They don't ask me to push pay or nothing. I just put it in. They know what's in there. She pushes pay, and then the guy comes, and it all went through because she pushed pay, and I didn't know to push pay. That's why she should do the groceries. And the guy comes over, and now I'm dialoguing, and it's like, let's get going, and I offered him $25 to go take this to our car for us. I said, but I don't know where the Jeep is. We get the cart. She runs with the cart. She gets to the door. She grabs the 4 bags. She leaves me 1. Well, now as a man, I already feel like a goof. I can't find my way around the store. I can't follow directions. I salivate on the meat case. I'm like bringing along a kid. She grabs it, and she's walking out, and I got 1 bag. There's another guy, older guy, walking out with a cart full of stuff. Now, she's, 10 paces ahead of me. I walk out, and I say, you going to pull the Jeep up? Because this is kind of getting heavy for me. We had a good laugh, ha, ha, ha. We get out to the Jeep, put our stuff in, come home. I had a fabulous time. I think she had a little bit of fun. But 35 years ago, that wasn't going to work. But we love each other. And it doesn't sound like a grand outing, vacation. She's still cute. She's pretty. Does she drive me crazy sometimes? Yeah. Because I can't follow which train she's on or when she got off and got on the city bus and she's going somewhere else with her conversation. But it's okay. Things change. She's always been beautiful, but her inward beauty has gotten greater. I'm going to tell you, single people, something. There's a lot of people that do way more research and scrutinizing when it comes to breeding their horse or breeding their dog than you do picking out a spouse. Some of you guys, you spend way more time dreaming about and scrutinizing which tree you got to put your tree stand in and where's the wind, and you go through all this stuff. But when it comes to picking out a spouse for your life, it's, oh, do I love her? Do I feel? I'm going to tell you something. Do your homework. Something about an inward beauty. First Peter talks about it. Do not let your adorning be external, the braiding of hair and the putting on of gold jewelry or the clothing you wear, but let your adorning be the hidden person of the heart with the imperishable beauty of a gentle and quiet spirit, which in God's sight is very precious. This is how the holy women who hoped in God used to live. Listen to this. It doesn't mean that you can't wear nice clothes or take care of yourself or have jewelry. What the message is this, that your inner beauty should shine more brightly than your outward adornment. What are you known for? Wow, you have really great hair and you look thin and you got such nice clothes and you got... Nothing said about your character. At what point will that bother you? I don't know how much time you spend at the gym, and I think you should go to the gym. I think that's great for you. But the hours you spend at the gym working on this, and I know it's health, it's not just looks, so you say. But how much of that, in comparison, do you spend fellowshipping with Jesus? Where's your prayer room passcode, 24 you can get in any time, like you do at the gym? What's the time used this week, this month? Compare it to your track record from the gym. Just say, hey, be careful how you wander on Instagram and wherever else telling you to eat this or don't eat this and take this and don't take that. I'm all for health and I'm all for improving ourselves, and how we look, it matters because we represent somebody. But, how much time do we log this and count this and do this compared to how much we read His Word? I don't know. Do you have to write something down every meal you have? I'm not against that. What I'm saying is, if you're doing that, do you read this at every meal for 5 minutes, 3 minutes? I'm just saying there's got to be some correlation about developing the inside. Jesus talked about, how they painted the tombs. They became beautiful and all of this. And He says they're whitewashed. The outside looks beautiful, but remember, inside, it's just dead men's bones. That's not who we're supposed to be as the church or as the bride of Christ. We're supposed to look appropriate, but have the inner beauty shine. Let it be what we're known for. The Torah said this: the sages commanded that a man honor his wife more than himself, and love her as much as he loves himself. And if he has means, spend for her benefit in accordance with the means that you have. Spend it on her. Take care of her. Do it. That's honoring her. That's loving her. That isn't, she wasn't real nice, or I'm just kind of not feeling like we did when we dated. No. You don't understand what love is. It's to bring benefit. Listen, you and your employer, this legal contract you have, at some point, if you don't bring benefit to your employer, you're going to get fired. How is it that we think marriage is less? If your employer does not benefit you back, you're moving on. You're not going to stay working there. There is this interchange of benefit, a legal contract, until it is terminated. If you and I could grasp love, that it is a benefit to one another, we are to use each other. And I'm grateful for her beauty, but her beauty isn't just a total cuteness. It's not like me getting lost in the kitchen. I finally stood up when I didn't know what topic she was on. I walked around the kitchen island. She had her back to me. She was still talking. She was at the sink, and I don't know what topic she's on. And then I totally got stalled because I looked at her and I thought, she looks really good in those jeans. I did. She looks good in those jeans. She looks good. I know she's talking on, and I don't know where she's at, but I'm stalled. She still looks good in those jeans. I'm 59 years old. But that's my woman. I'm not sure where you're at, or where you're in the choosing process, or you're single, or whatever it is. I'm going to tell you a little benefit about somebody who's in love with their spouse and their spouse passes. I'm going to tell you a little benefit. It's not plan A. We all know that day's coming for us, one of us. It's inevitable. But I'm going to tell you the benefit you got. Because when that person's not around, you spend more time with memories. Amen. When we're alive, we still recall stuff. But we're busy and we're doing stuff. We're going to Hy-Vee making new memories. But you get to remember. And all of a sudden it brings a warmth and a gratitude in here of who she's been, or who he's been. And a love is stirred that will never subside because you built a life together. You see, the understanding of marriage in the Jewish mindset, it was very much related and directed towards family. Married, we have children. We have a family unit. We live as a family. We're going to function as a family. It's about these relationships. We're going to love one another. The whole parallel of Christ loving the church and the church loving him and the church loving each other. Why don't you stand with me, please? Matthew 23, verse 25. I'm going to close with this. Woe to you, scribes, you attorneys of God's word, and you Pharisees, you religious leaders, you're hypocrites. You clean the outside of the cup and the plate, but the inside, they are full of greed and self-indulgence. You're blind to your way of life. First, clean the inside of the cup and the plate, and then the outside. It will also become clean. You see, they acted all religious and all smart and all pompous and all spiritual, and Jesus said, man, you clean the outside of the cup, you're full of greed, and you look beautiful, but it became deceptive because it wasn't couched in godliness. You didn't become the woman standing by the gumball machine who was beautiful and couched it in godliness, where now the charm and the beauty still stand and have value because they're in godliness. They didn't become vain, didn't become fleeting, it didn't become deceptive. Get your concept right in God. Romance should and can be a part of it, but it's not the only piece. It needs to be in there. But please don't gauge it just on that. That's what social network does. That's what movies do. That's what poetry does. Listen, we are God's people. Love one another. Start in your house. Start at the church. Start with your coworkers, the marketplace, strangers. Love them. Don't let things slide at home. They change. It's okay. If something's not working for you and benefiting for you, then have a business meeting over the contract. Work it out. Be humble about it. Just say, you're right, I haven't been good to you in this area, or I make excuses for this, or whatever, or we're always too tired, or we're always too tired. But the reality is this: you do things for other people when you're tired, and so do I. How come we don't bring the benefit to our spouse even when we're tired? Not the benefit we choose, but the benefit that they need. See, that's love. Concerned about family, concerned about marriage, concerned about how you choose a spouse, concerned about how we love each other and how we look to the world. If looks didn't matter, I wonder how many weeks you'd let it go by before you said something to me about, hey, we need the grass cut on our church property. Do you need me to come and do that? Because it's like a foot. That doesn't look good. Right? It matters. This matters. But the inside is supposed to shine brighter. Shine brighter. You belong to him and he loves you. And you're his bride. He's going to benefit you. Let's benefit one another.